and then they acted on it. They went to the Capitol, and they were the first ones to break the barricades. He was a Proud Boy. He was the first person to breach the Capitol building. And again, to this day, Republicans, they still don't think that Trump lost that election. They still think it was rigged. The people who have been ratcheting up this violent rhetoric have constantly been the MAGA side. The Democrats, as far as mainstream Democratic politicians, where have we seen this from? Besides what occasionally people calling Trump a fascist? Well, Trump calls Biden a fascist. Trump called Kamala a fascist. He called Biden's administration a Gestapo, right? It's completely one-sided. The left-wingers have their own issues, extreme leftists. For the most part, though, Democrats have kept them at bay. They have not allowed that to infect their own party. Even from gruesome Gavin, it was straight condemnation for the killing of Charlie Kirk. Same with every other one. If you want de-escalation, start with the president.
All right, thank you. And next, the Unreasonable Man. Would you like to make an opening statement? Oh, we can't hear you. All right, we'll come back to you. Is anyone else interested in making an opening statement in the meanwhile?
Yeah.
All right, Ziz.
I think so. Can you hear me now? All right, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I had to restart. Part of my system, so I didn't realize it wasn't working. So I apologize. So I guess to start with, you would need to understand my worldview. I'm a constitutional conservative. For the most part, that means that I believe if it's not in the Constitution, we shouldn't be doing it, and that colors my entire worldview. And so I'm going to have some differing opinions from what maybe you guys are used to conservatives saying. Maybe not. I don't know. In the case of what we're seeing right now, I think we have to look at two different sides on this. Obviously, there is the very upset people on the right and even in the centrist communities, because Kirk was more of a centrist than I think he was a far right guy. But the fact that someone felt the need to take his life is very interesting on a bunch of different levels, and I think that a lot of people have not yet slowed down to take a look at what the reality behind this is, and on the for the right, for the actual far right wing people, I think they're very upset, and I think that they so a lot of them feel like they have the right to be. On the left of this issue, we have we do have a problem with it seems like with leftists actually being very violent and acting out in violent ways. We can see this with all of the protests that have gotten out of hand, with various people getting beaten up, with all of the riots and looting and burning of buildings and things of this nature. And if it was one or two things, that would be okay. It's just a bad group. But this is something that's happened over and over and over again. And I think the issue of political violence in and of itself is something that can be really discussed and tried. We can kind of get somewhere on it. I think as far as the what is the rhetoric and the charged atmosphere that we're in right now, I think is unique and does this. There's going to need to be some discussion, and we'll have some of that tonight, I'm sure. So I hope that's perfectly murky, and we'll get right into it here in a few minutes. And I thank you for having me. Probably not. I mean, I mean, if you if you're talking about the Republican Party and Trump, then we're also talking about the Democrat Party and Antifa and BLM and all of the other organizations that were, that you guys talk about like they're not a problem, and yet they burn buildings, they loot, they rob. Well, of course you can't do it. How do you want us to separate it out and you not? I don't really want to get bogged down in litigating. I'm Well, hold on. I mean, if you want to get that specific, well, that's not entirely true. The It is not entirely true because the first person who broke down that barrier was a plant, a Fed, literally an agent who broke it down and then who said, "Follow me." So, I mean, if you're going to if you're going to try and go into detail, which I think it's stupid to relitigate January 6th in a debate about Charlie Kirk, but if you want to do so, I'm happy to do so. It is absolutely true. Literally, there are charges pending now. Don't act like you don't know this. I'm sure you're a smart person. I don't understand why you want to be so disingenuous. Oh, really? Well, I wanna who said that who's I'm sorry, I don't know everyone here, I really do apologize. Who said that no creator had reveled in this Dean okay, all right. So when Dean Withers and his and Parker and the other little mophead that I can't remember the name of literally tweeted out really disgusting things. And then when they realized it was going to go against them, like 10 minutes later, they literally deleted those and then came out with their crocodile tear streams. What do you make of that? What am I supposed to think of that? Those are they not major content creators? Are you disputing that major Democrats didn't dance on the grave? I didn't say we should go after them. I said, are you denying that they did it? But someone just said content creators. That's why look, well, he said content creators. I can talk about politicians as well, but when you say there's been no major content creator that um, uh, endorsed this, I think you're wrong. I think that there were major content creators that did it, and I think that you're being disingenuous. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. It was. Yeah. That was after the. Yeah. So they were like, I'm sorry. Don't mean to speak over you. I'm just trying to. So there were like 4 or 5 tweets about, hey, just heard Charlie Kirk took a bullet, hurrah, or not hurrah, but I'm being, oh, I don't remember. I don't actually follow the guy. Just people are sending me images of the tweets, and I don't remember them. But he literally changed his tune, and a lot of others did too. The only one that really that I can point to is like Destiny for sure said some really nasty things to the point that there are now people that won't work with him anymore, which isn't a big surprise. But and then I don't know that he's actually walked it back, but I think certainly he softened his position. Is he not a major content creator on the left? I understand. I understand. I yeah, yeah. And look, I'm not. I'm just saying that. Let's just look. I don't mind a little hyperbole, that sort of thing. But let's try and be better faith, right? Like if we're going to talk about things, let's talk about things in good faith.
polarization with my followers, right? Like there's plenty of animosity to be able to suggest that. I'm not saying that is the case, but like I don't think that you could be able to. I don't think that that is a dispellable presumption.
In regards to that, I would say that until any information comes out that definitely demonstrates the motivation of the killer, anything is just speculation. And what I'm worried about is how this speculation is being weaponized to incite violence and who does it. And
Right.
I've been seeing it on a specific
There's
side.
there's nobody. Look, unless you give me a specific example where someone is actually, calling to action or inciting violence right after this thing, which I haven't seen anything. What I've
Do we
seen is a lot
mean
of sad people.
politicians, content
lot of sad
creators? What is in the purview of this discussion?
Okay,
Do we
so
mean big public
it sounds
figures?
like
Do
you're-
we?
it
Hold
sounds
on, sorry.
like
Let's ETV
I
finish
don't
this point, and then Lucy, you can respond.
look, because I purposely don't swim inside these circles too often, right? I like to come in here and see what everybody's thinking. But unless you're going to give me like some like big name for somebody, right? I mean, you're going to give me somebody that's on the fringe that I'm not going to be aware of, and I'm going to look back at you and go, sounds pretty fringe to me. So, like I haven't heard anybody. What I've been seeing is a lot of sad people that the main message that he had was love for Jesus Christ was assassinated in the public square, talking about that. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that there's any type of, it like at this moment, right, what we really need is for those people on the left to start owning what has been being said by Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and all these other people that regardless of what their intent was, or they're like, oh, well, I'm in office, so I got to use language like this to try to incite the voter base. All of that is bullshit because what your intent is doesn't matter. What we need is more responsibility when it comes to speaking. That way, you don't end up with people that clearly are not, firing on all cylinders, interpreting it in a way in which it wasn't intended to be interpreted.
Matt Walsh literally said, it's too late to turn down the temperature. It's time for justice. It's time for good to fight back against evil. I don't know how else you're supposed to interpret
A similar
that.
statement was done by Steven Crowder as well, that it's time to up the temperature, that it's time for more violence from the right.
Yeah, there
Who
was
said
also
violence
many
from the
people
right?
that
Who said
actually
violence
rightly
from the
said
right?
same.
There is so
Steven
many
Crowder.
examples of people saying violence from the right is needed right now. But my question is, if we can point to so many people in power on the right to like incite violence, I just want to know, Loner Bucks, are you pro or against what Gavin Newsom is doing right now?
In what manner? What's he
Are
doing?
you pro like what he's doing with like on Twitter? Are you pro with like what he's doing on like fighting back against Trump with the redistricting? How are you feeling
Yeah,
about
of course, yeah.
that? Okay, I think that is not shared everywhere, and I think it's also resonating a lot on the left, especially on very leftist sides of the left. That Gavin Newsom is going too far and like it's cringe or whatever. And I think that's like the best way to fight against the fascism and not fucking killing people like civilians in the street,
Wait, so are you saying it's you? What's your opinion on what Gavin's doing? Do you think that's too far? Him doing all
of
caps
course
and
not. No, I
redistricting?
think
It's not. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. My problem is that people are disavowing what he's saying, what he's doing, saying it's cringe, it's weird, and then they're saying the only way to fight against fascism is to kill them, which is weird. Plus, yes, the shooter, to answer the question of RGR is it could have been anybody. It could have been a fucking very right Fuentes fan. It could be a very left Assange fan or anything. It could be anybody, yeah.
we all understand that does not matter, right? I mean, even Matt Walsh and his little it's too late to turn that temperature. We've got the good to fight against evil and we need justice. He still blames Democrats for this guy who tried to assassinate Trump. even though he was a registered Republican. So it does not matter. They will blame Democrats regardless. Doesn't matter how much Democrats condemn the far left. Doesn't matter how much they condemn the violence. Doesn't matter how well behaved they are or how cucked they are. It does not matter. They will always blame them because again,
know
they will
why
just
Well,
find
yeah,
anybody
it
always
that's trying
put
to
on
matters. Of
defend-
Twitter.
course it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody's trying to defend Democrats, right? And then they were like, "Oh, well, the dude was a registered Republican, right?" But yet you have a problem with there being voter ID laws, right? It's like it's all a hypocrisy. There's no
That has
consistency.
nothing
It's
to
all a
do
bunch
with
of bullshit.
okay,
that mean?
that's very
I don't think
interesting
that's
It's
side
nothing
step.
to do with it because in one hand you're expecting somebody to keep up with their fucking government registrations and shit, and on the other hand you want to prevent people on the other side from being able to fucking do it. Don't sit there and tell me that it's not because I know that it is. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Hey, Uncle
That's a very
Cowboy, were you the
interesting
guy who
attempt to change
started
the
your
subject,
statement
but
talking about
okay.
uneducated people?
nothing
You
to
sound
do
like a
with the Charlie
fucking
Kirk
idiot.
campaign.
I cannot.
Hold on, there's a couple of people
believe you.
talking. Sorry, Lunderbox, I didn't hear you if you said anything, and then Claire, go ahead.
Oh, I just said that's a really interesting attempt to change the subject. We understand that the guy who tried to assassinate Trump was a registered Republican, and to
We
this
also
day,
gave money
people
to
like Matt
him.
Walsh
It's
still
not a
blame
change of
Democrats.
the subject.
Wait,
It's
how
actually
old
a
was he when-
direct
how old was he?
fucking like opening up the subject to you, not realizing that like that has to do with some kid that obviously wasn't fucking like, keeping up with everything that they kept up with their registration. It's like it's fucking stupid for you to use that as a stance for you to stand on. Like,
Okay,
it's
I really
fucking stupid.
apologize
I've heard it like 6 times already.
I really,
and it's
really
like,
apologize
it's
to
a dumbass
Mr.
leg to stand on.
Motorsports. I'd say I really apologize to Mr. Motorsports who was actually trying to engage with what I was saying. You said he also gave money to Democrats. Can you remind me how much money did he give and how old was he?
Well, what they found was it was like $10, and he was young when he gave it, but that doesn't.
How young?
If you want to, I think it was $10 or $15. I don't remember the exact amount, but it
When
was
he was how
amount.
old?
I don't remember his exact age,
I think
but
he was like 17, wasn't he?
Yeah, 17 or 18. Yeah, I think he was just
Okay.
able to
Then he
vote.
registered Republican. Okay.
Yeah, but again, to be honest with you, I would assume that somebody is, that's reasonably articulate and smart would understand that if you want to do oppo research on somebody, then you would join, say, the Republican Party, so that you would get the mailers and the press releases and things like that. That would just seem logical to me. But again, I understand that we don't actually deal in logic very much, so I'll just let that one go.
Well, just to be clear, what you said about this hypothesis of him registered Republican just so we can get intel, no one in the FBI or any investigator has actually come forward with that, right? It seems that his political identity was at best like fairly opaque. So blaming it on the Democrats is like a complete
to be honest,
nothing,
the FBI
right?
said that they felt like he was apolitical, but I guess you didn't read that part.
That's what I'm saying, but people still blame the Democrats for
But
it.
you're still trying to say he's
That's
Republican.
because the Democrats are using the inflammatory
I'm not trying to blame
language.
anybody.
That's
I think
why.
he was
He's
I
not
think he
saying
was an
he's
insane
Republican. He's
person.
using that as an example of why it's not as simple as just saying a Democrat did it.
Unreasonable man, what were you trying to say? Or sorry, Claire, finish your thought, then unreasonable man.
Yeah,
No, it's cool. I can't think anymore.
Okay,
I still
unreasonable
don't
man.
know the idea.
I'm sorry. I have to. I don't understand.
Kirk-
Hey, get money, Dre. Hold on. I said motorsports, and then you can speak.
My apologies.
Yeah,
Both you guys.
I fail to understand. Maybe I'm new here. This is a different panel for me, so I get forgive me, step on toes or anything. But it's completely irresponsible and, to be honest, disingenuous to continuously refer to somebody as Republican because they were registered as Republican while dismissing the fact that they gave actually hard-earned cash money to a liberal organization. And when the FBI themselves said they really think he's apolitical, there was stuff from both sides. I think that they found in his possessions. And so if the FBI says he's apolitical, they don't know his political affiliation. For you to assign that is just, come on, man. That's horseradish, horse shit, whatever you want to call it. And you should really be embarrassed to continuously spout that kind of nonsense. I didn't say that. I said, hey, yeah, he gave money, but I did not assign that he was a Democrat. I said, well, if you're going to say this, then you have to acknowledge this, and you refuse to do so. I didn't call him a Democrat. I said he was an insane person. Can we agree that it's fairly insane to do what he did? Yes, I think so. Yeah. Do I need to assign a political party to an insane person? No, I don't. But you seem to need.
That's why. So first of all, everything you just said would be completely valid if you ignored the first half of my sentence. Was people like Matt Walsh, etc., still blame Democrats for it, even though
people like CTV are still blaming Democrats too. By the way.
Yeah. So even
Well,
someone on
okay.
your own team is doing it right now. What the fuck? That's why I brought it up.
Even Donald Trump said
Well,
it's
so
the Democrats.
Operation
So,
Independent right
people are
down
allowed
here in
to-
God's Polk County, Florida, where Grady Judd's the sheriff. Registered independent. Don't fucking tell me what fucking team I'm on.
Okay, so
Thank you, Sweet TV.
I'm sorry. People are allowed to have their own biases. Matt Walsh is, he's interesting, but Matt Walsh is allowed to say, "I think this, I believe this." He doesn't even need to have proof for that. He can just say, "I picked this shit out of the air, and it's golden, and this is my shit now, and I believe it."
So he has the right to lie.
He's not allowed. He's not allowed.
That's
he's
not
a
a
person in
lie.
Power. He does
It
laws,
is a lie.
and he's basing
It's
his
not a lie.
statement on
If it's-
absolutely nothing because the
Yeah.
FBI said that he literally started being politically affiliated very early, not
Right.
too long
In this
before
latest
this
case,
year.
sure. In this latest case, sure. But we were actually speaking about the Trump shooting, and where the FBI's come out and said they can't assign him a party because he's apolitical. He was all over the place. And Matt Walsh saying that he believes that he was a Democrat because of the money given to Antifa is that's just as valid as you saying that he's a Republican because you want him to be because he
funny
because he was a
only
member.
$10 and he was 17. It's nothing.
Yeah, but why are you doing the same
But,
thing with this
but it's
shooter
way
now?
more effort to give $10 to a political action committee or whatever than to just simply fill out on your voter registration card. Yeah, I'm Republican. It's literally, or check the wrong. For all we know, he was drunk and checked the wrong box. This is the most. Again, I really don't like to get bogged down in this minutia because I don't understand what insane people do. You're asking me to try and understand something that an insane person did, and I don't do it, and I can't do it. Why are you continuously rehashing this? This has been litigated for the past year, 2 years. Why?
It seems
Why
like
do
we
I
agree
care
that
about
Matt Walsh was fucking batshit for trying to hold Democrats accountable for it?
Okay, that's
It's
fine.
the
You can say
only-
Matt Walsh is batshit, but Matt Walsh isn't in this conversation. You are.
Yeah, but that's literally like the only bone that Lonerbox has got, and he's a chihuahua, right? He's got a hold of it. He's not letting go.
So
But
he's got nothing
he's
else.
right though. He's right though because they're doing the same thing that they were doing with the Trump shooter to this guy, and the FBI said he had no affiliation that he could see.
Right.
So let me
And I'm only
recenter this
picking on
con-
Lonerbox because I
the
know
FBI's not-
Lonerbox. So.
I'm sorry.
let me recenter this conversation, all right? Because so as I understand it, let me just try to focus in on where I think the disagreement is. I think that everyone generally agrees, unless someone wants to voice their opinion. I think that everyone generally agrees that we don't know what this person's motivations were definitively. I think that the issue, yes, I think that the issue that people are taking right now on the panel is that people like large figures such as Matt Walsh and other figures, it sounds like primarily on the right, immediately began to attribute his actions, regardless of the public knowledge, to the contrary or thereof, to the Democrats and to the left, and then try to use that as justification for inciting political violence against the left. And so the question is that okay? Is that justified? Is that, what moral weight do we ascribe to that and similar actions? And also, has the left engaged in any similar activity as of late? I think that's where the panel that's where the question sounds like it's at.
I'm completely okay with anyone that has, not, I don't know what the right way to say this. Anybody that has, been showing celebration or any kind of crazy, attitudes like that with regard to Charlie Kirk, I'm happy that they lose their jobs. I'm happy that they're being called out. I'm happy that we are now at a turning point, right, where people have, feel confident to be able to put those kinds of people in their place, because I have been in and around this space for the last 4 or 5 years, right? And during that time, I've seen people, not report themselves as professionals. That'd probably be the best way to say it, right? So, it's I'm very happy to see that we're at a point where this shit's getting called out, and to the nth degree, because I said it years ago. I said you are not going to like it whenever this pendulum starts swinging back the other direction. And as far as I'm concerned, it needs to keep swinging a little bit more, because we're still a little bit way too liberal with our thinking, and we need to get back to more conservative and traditional type thinking for our nation's sake.
To a question, you said you're happy that people were losing their jobs over things they said about Charlie Kirk.
Absolutely.
May I ask,
Same,
like,
honestly.
what specifically they were saying that you were happy to them they lose their jobs over?
Any type of, showing like they're happy that happened. Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's
Well,
that,
hold on.
People who
I mean,
have, what
them
about
being
people who
happy
have
over a death is wrong, but them losing their jobs over speech, isn't that like violating freedom of speech, like cancel culture type shit?
Yeah,
Well, conservatives
you're
would care about their own
literally
speech.
like your association right now to freedom is not one of responsibility, and I suggest that you start getting that. Otherwise, you're not ever going to be able to understand my line of thinking.
I don't
So
think it's free speech. I think it's hate speech at that point. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's hate
Well,
speech, and you guys worked really, really
Hate
hard.
speech
The leftists worked,
violates free speech, though.
the
But
What
left.
do you guys,
doesn't-
I mean, what do you guys support? Like, just broadly speaking, and I'm just checking in. What do you guys support? Like workplaces taking similar stances against the murders, people making statements about the murders of Melissa Hortman.
So in my area, it's made the news. I'm sure it's national by now. The assistant dean at the college near me that I actually went to 30 odd years ago has been fired for her social media post day of, where she basically said Kirk got what he deserved, and he, kind of the same FAFO mantra and some other kind of actually, not very good, not very pleasant, and certainly not very professional things. And she was fired from her job like the next day as the assistant dean of the university. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with it, because for so long, so many in this country have been using hate speech laws to get people fired, to get them banned from specific areas and kicked off of Twitter and whatever, but for whatever speech. And you guys were certainly very happy about that. Not you guys specifically. I'm not pointing any, I'm not saying anyone in this room. I'm saying, mostly on the left. We're perfectly happy about that. But now it seems like that it's going the other direction and everyone's very unhappy about it. Now, I personally don't care one way or the other. I think that as a constitutional conservative, I believe you should be able to say basically any damn thing. But unfortunately, nobody listened to me when that was happening, and all of these hate speech laws went into effect. And now you kind of reap what you sow in this regard. Now, as far as people turning that into action, right? Like I've heard from a bunch of different sources, that this is, for example, I'm in a very unique cross section of spaces, and in one of them, they're very much of the opinion that, this could be the banner for the next Civil War. And I've heard that. I've actually literally seen that written out, and by very dangerous people, by the way. They're not people to be taken lightly, and it's somewhat troubling to me, because to me, like and look, I'm certainly not belittling anyone, but when the left talks about acting out, I picture riots and a little bit of looting and some annoyance, right? But when the right starts talking about acting out, it changes things entirely, and it bothers me a little bit, to be honest, even on the right. However, I don't think that I think it's talk at this point. It still bothers me. And I just want it noted that, there were no riots. There's nobody, throwing bottles at people. There's nobody looting, storming shopping malls or any of that nonsense. It's just a bunch of people who are really, really sad, and some people that are really, really angry about Charlie's death. And I think I've talked long enough. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me ask this.
Really
Oh,
quick,
guess
could I just
in-
ask a follow-up question?
Oh yeah,
please?
Claire, go ahead.
So just to clarify, like your position was that you, broadly speaking, just support free speech in general. You can say what you want on Twitter. Who gives a shit? You shouldn't get fired. But you appreciate the schadenfreude of people getting fired post Charlie Kirk's assassination. Is that correct?
I find it ironic.
Oh, okay. Cool. Great. And then Uncle Cowboy, would you support people getting fired for talking shit on the lawmaker from Minnesota who got murdered back in June? Like on a similar basis to people getting fired for talking shit about Charlie Kirk or celebrating his death.
I think that was directed at CTV.
CTV, thank you.
Oh, Uncle K.
It took me a
that's not
second.
bad one, I guess. Yeah, it's not a bad one, right? Yeah. I mean, like in general, uh, I don't like people calling for violence. I don't like it when people are celebrating, untimely deaths or stuff like that. I'm not that guy, right? I'm the one that as soon as you do it, I'm going to be, if I'm in your friend group, I'm going to be the one looking at you like, what the fuck? Like, really? I'm going to be also one that like would be voting towards, people that or offices that would put laws into place that would stop you from doing what I, think is like just, unrespectful behavior. It's like, what the fuck, So it's like, on the one hand, you have the right to be able to kneel for the anthem, but on the other, you don't go to jail for it. In this instance, we're not talking about like something like that. We're talking about showing actual celebration for someone else being murdered. That's not cool. And I'm happy that these people are reaping the consequences of the speech that they were so freely allowed to fucking put out there for me to have to listen to.
Right, and you would support Democrats doing the same thing in their situation.
Already happened. What the fuck are you talking about? We already endured all this. Stop with this smug fucking like blah blah blah.
I
I'm
don't
not the
care what you
fucking one.
endured. I'm asking if you think that those rights, ought to be shared. Like if you're just, I can tell that you're upset about it.
I'm not upset. This is how I talk. Motherfuckers been watching me for years.
Cool.
I'm nowhere near upset. Nowhere
Actually,
near. But what I will do.
Your dog was really okay with it earlier. He's super cute. So.
Y'all have gone back and
Steve,
forth on
nope.
this for a second.
Steve.
Lucy, you had your
I
hand
wanna
raised.
see
Did you want to make a
your-
point?
I feel like we're going a bit off topic, but I've seen people discuss hate speech laws and people getting fired for their hate speech. But I guess I'm deferring to the legal expert here because I'm not really American. But as far as I understand, there's not really hate speech laws per se in the U.S.
It's
So what's
as far as I'm aware, it's
What?
more an issue that people can be fired from their jobs if those jobs are at work or at will employees, and they can be fired for a range of things, including usually their political beliefs within a certain range.
Because I know that a hate crime is different from a hate speech law.
As
No.
long as you're not directly threatening anybody's life, you can say pretty much whatever you want in America.
Can I?
So why are we discussing
this-
hate speech laws if they're not a thing in the U.S.?
We
Because
weren't
it matters,
discussing the
because
laws.
You're not
you're-
talking about laws. You're talking about.
We were
It
discussing
matters
the
because
results.
if you're in the street and you're telling somebody, hey, I would like to shoot you, and I find my gun, I would shoot you. The police is next to you, they will arrest you. It is something that is like you can't be arrested for. And if you're in a job and they see you post stuff online, they have all rights to fire you because not only is not with their policies, it's also the right to just like not have
You
that. as
cannot
actually their-
really threaten somebody who's already dead, can you?
Well,
Wait,
so
what?
this
All right, hold on.
Okay,
Pause.
whoa.
So let me ask. So actually, let me just as a point of clarification, let me ask the unreasonable man. So unreasonable man, my understanding, I generally agree that I don't believe that there are a ton of specifically hate speech laws because those usually get wrapped up in First Amendment challenges. Usually, the reason why people are able to get fired from their jobs is because they're at-will employees, and then employers usually, because there are not affirmative laws to the contrary, they can be able to fire people for a range of reasons, including for their political beliefs or what they post online. Is that the case, or is there something else?
well, it's also, I believe the reason I think that both of the public agencies gave is because it opens them up to civil lawsuits for civil rights violations. When you were talking about that you were glad someone is dead and you're an employee of a public something like a
Really?
there's a lady being that's on leave, administrative leave right now in Nashville for some very sick things that she said, and then this obviously the State University assistant dean was fired. Now that could also come. It may not be in law, but it could just be in their contract that they can't say anything to, kind of embarrass the university or something like that. I don't know with the university how that works, but I'm pretty sure that what they're going through in Nashville with the lady, ambulance or 911 dispatcher is that. It's going to be. I think they're looking at it from some sort of civil rights violation sort of thing.
Gotcha. I need to look into that.
Yeah. I haven't seen why she's like the news has just said that she's being on administrative leave because they're reviewing the case, right?
Okay. Letterbox, go ahead.
What do we think about people who were like making light of it? So if maybe someone who is in a university or some crazy like lefty says something like, "Oh, it's ironic that he was like pro-gun and he thought it was worth a few deaths every year, then he gets shot." Would you think people like that should be fired? People who say that?
It's rude, but no.
It's not related. Though.
Obviously, I'm asking the conservative guys, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's tasteless, but it didn't bother me when people said that.
Yeah, I was actually wondering the same thing because I've seen a couple of people, or actually a lot of people online, who have basically argued like, on one hand, it is bad and horrible what happened to him.
Mhm.
Political violence categorically is not justified. The act is condemned. And then on the other hand, he himself has gone on the record to say empathy is, I can't remember the exact quote, but he said like empathy is horrible and we shouldn't do it. Some amount of gun deaths are justified to protect the Second Amendment. Like people have essentially said like I don't condemn Charlie Kirk's death, but he himself would condemn Charlie Kirk's death. So I mean, I guess I'm curious about like, along what Lunderbox was asking about your perspective.
Sorry, I spoke over you again. I apologize.
You're all good. Go ahead.
So what Charlie himself said, and you can find this, it's probably on TikTok right now, or wherever. I actually don't know where he uploaded shit to. What he actually said is somebody actually asked him, and it's like a month ago, what would happen, if because you do these events, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself in danger, and that people don't like you. He said, I've had a great life. I will go to my God. And he had a whole line, and I'm not going to try and repeat what he said, but it was exceedingly rational and positive. That he can't live in fear, and if the Lord calls him home, he's fine. Don't. And so on my show the other night, I covered this and I said that I don't feel bad for Charlie. Charlie was a very successful man. He's going to his God. I feel. If anything, I feel at peace that Charlie has gone to meet God. But the real problem is his family. He's left behind a wife and 2 young children, and that's horrible and really bad. And I think so. And just to kind of circle this back, because before we get too far afield, saying that, well, you live by the gun, you die by the gun, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me if you say, well, he fucked around and found out, or, he probably should have kept his mouth shut, or any of these other really bad, and I'm not going to get into the horrible things because it'll upset me and I will get angry and then I'll be rude, and I don't want to be. But what really bothers me is there's a huge difference between saying he lived by the gun, he died by the gun, and saying, that he got what he deserved, or he fucked around and found out, or, ha ha ha, so happy Charlie Kirk is dead for the stupid fascist, whatever. If you can't discern a difference in that, I think that you're insane and you really, really need to get some personal help.
Well, I think that to kind of address what was being asked a minute ago, right? It seemed like we were talking about accountability between the internet and the real world. So it seems like regardless of what anybody else thinks, right? Legislatures are putting different controls in place. So we are heading towards a place where you are going to have to be accountable to the things that you say online, versus, because like the whole idea that most people, whenever they're spouting off all this other shit, at least what I'm scrolling through is it's like, crazy name bot accounts that are not actually tied to people that are saying some of the most outlandish shit. So I just end up like blocking those or whatever, because I only want to like know what real people think. That's where we're heading towards. So if you're out there and you're saying some really outlandish and dumb shit on your like actual account, well, or if you said that in a room full of people, would you expect to get smacked? If the answer is yeah, well then there's like going to be a way to go from online to real world where you get smacked.
That's why I was asking you. Obviously, so saying something like, "Oh yeah, he deserved it," or "I'm glad he did it," but there's a difference between that, because that one sounds like they're kind of saying they want more of it to happen. Whereas I was asking you, would you want people to get fired if they were like joking about it or making light about it? Like, is that or gloating? Is that kind of thing the same to you? Do you think they should get fired as well? That's what I'm asking you, CTV.
Yeah, the man wasn't even in the ground yet. Yeah.
Right.
There's
So they
everybody
should get
has,
fired.
like absolutely. There's because I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, and if you haven't learned what the time and a place, and fucking holding your tongue for a bit, because there's obviously, it doesn't matter what the situation is, because comedians have been doing it for thousands of years, an ability to be able to make fun of anything or get to a place where people can laugh about a thing, right? So the whole fucking point is time and a place. And if you don't know time and a place, then you're going to get taught time and a place by society. That's just how it works.
Okay, so so would you say the same for someone joking about the Pelosi's getting attacked in their house?
Sure, there shouldn't be anybody attacking Nancy Pelosi in her house. I mean, Lord knows that woman's probably stumbling through it drunk as it is.
Okay, do you understand the difference with the reference that I made was to a elected politician who was making jokes about Pelosi getting attacked in her house, Carrie Lake? Do you see how
So
when we talk
Donald
about people
Trump-
getting fired, so apparently you think Carrie Lake should have got fired for that?
I already made my stance clear that there should be a certain amount of
Okay, yeah.
accountability
I
if
think
you're
his
calling
question
violence.
I'm just saying then, yeah,
should there
because
be a
it's interesting
line?
that the examples that you have
Look, man,
are
like
from people like who are
I
teachers
made
or
my
like people at
stance.
universities,
I
but then for the Republican side, it's people who are elected officials doing this shit.
Well,
Yeah.
So I made my stance clear, right? So if you want to like, fucking whatever it is you want to do with it, Letterbox, right? But like, I made my
I
stance
don't think you
clear.
even know what I'm doing, but yeah.
well, I
His
do.
argument was, should there be a line? And there is clearly a miss.
Well, it's damn sure not getting a pair of scissors on that hair. That's for sure.
Well, hold on. You can't. So wait a minute. How would you fire a politician?
Well, this person was a
They don't
nominee.
get
Yeah,
reelected in
that's
the
a really bad
office,
example,
or you
right?
go through a process where you
like
take away their
That's
their
a really
office.
bad example, because the politicians get to say a lot of dumb shit and not get fired for it. It's
really
kind of
good
their job.
example because they're super.
You don't think maybe it's different in the United States, but can parties not drop candidates?
Well,
Parties
yeah,
can
she
be
would not get
candidate.
elected
They
again,
have
but once
to
she's
make
in
an extensive
office,
process.
there's only one way to remove her.
Okay, so do you think the Republican Party should have dropped this person for
They
joking
can't
about that?
drop
That's what I'm
her.
saying.
What are you talking
Get Money
There's
Dre,
an
sorry.
extensive
Really
process
quick.
for removal
Yeah,
of
something you
one
want.
party from office.
Get Money Dre, then Ziz.
My turn. All right. So there's an extensive process to help remove someone from office. It takes a while. I don't know the exact intricacies of it, but like I think the most recent prominent examples what happened with George Santos and him getting removed from office. He was a congressman who was convicted of, I think, fraud and sentenced to prison. I don't know like the entire details of it, but no, like to answer your question, Letterbox, in America, it's a lot more difficult than, let's say, in Europe or Canada. I think to remove a politician from office. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
That's fine.
Does that answer your question, or do you?
I
Ziz,
know
you also-
we're never going to get really like any acknowledgement that these kind of jokes, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, seems to be coming from people who are not politicians, whereas it's Republican politicians who have made jokes about attacks on officials like Nancy Pelosi in the past. But like the double standard, like Republicans just do this worse at a higher level than Democrats do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
would disagree with
I'm not doing that. And anytime that I've seen people doing that, it's been called out. You know, it's not something that's prominent on the right from what I see. It's definitely something that's very prominent on the left. I've been seeing
Really?
it for years now. Lots of people have been seeing it for years, from
By the way, is
Maxine
it Trump
Waters,
symbol?
all these
Vaccine
people in the
All these
political
people
scene
vaccine one.
voted into
All of them
office,
vaccine
calling
waters.
into violence, telling people not to sit down in the same place and eat with them, and all, you know, you got to get in their face and all this stuff. Like, that's what's been happening, right? So the left
Could
needs
you
to
name one
start
example on the
controlling
left?
their mouths, essentially.
Do you think that yelling at someone, like, or do you think that encouraging their constituents to, you know, go protest their elected representatives, do you think that that is the same as saying, like, oh my God, actually, I don't even know why I'm asking this, because you do think that they're the same. You do think that it's the same as, like, you know, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, after someone is assassinated, after everyone, like you guys have been saying, is like hurt and in pain, and they're angry and probably fucking terrified, a lot of people. And Donald Trump immediately gets on, and instead of doing anything to try and, like, quell the temperature and bring things down and pull back on Matt Walsh's fucking leash and Benny Johnson's leash and all these motherfuckers, and instead he immediately went off on how it's all the radical left's fault. Nothing about how we're all Americans and we need to come together. He can say it's a dark time. It is a dark time. It's fucked up. We just had a major political assassination, and everyone should be afraid of the implications of that, because the implications of that are that political assassinations are now on the fucking table in America, which technically they have been for a little while. See previous political assassinations performed by, you know, apolitical individuals, like we established, apolitical, but all of the people, you know, you said, I don't support these crazy people, I don't support these crazy people, like, they're all the product of this, like, deeply ingrained nihilism that is being, like, further expedited by, I mean, what are the top 5 of our S&P? Like, our entire economy right now is floating on these environments where you can go down a weird furry meme hole on Discord until you become so radicalized that you go and shoot Charlie Kirk or whatever this kid's into.
That is a problem. That is a problem.
It
We
seems
should
like
not
a
have
problem.
internet
It seems like a
circles.
public health problem that we could all, as Americans, come together, as opposed to being like, oh, the
Yes.
radical left. Oh, the radical left.
And one British person. Hi, Loner Box.
To be clear, that's Trump's
What the
response
fuck is
to
that?
everything, right?
Well,
It's
yeah,
really interesting
'cause
when you
he's
compare
stupid.
his response to this thing right now. When even he was asked on an interview, he was asked about telling people to not seek acts of vengeance or justice or whatever, like in the streets. He said something. I think his response was something like, "Well, where are they going to get it from? The ballot box? Well, the ballot box is mail-in ballots, and they're very fraudulent." He completely he's never done this. Even when Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed, he just said, "Oh yeah, we condemn violence." He didn't say anything partisan about it, and he never has. Trump has never ever called out his own side, unless he will occasionally be like, "Oh yeah, violence is bad," but also the Antifa and the Democrats and BLM.
Is the next thing coming out of your mouth, Loner Box, going to be trying to sell me on the very fine people hoax? Is that the next thing coming out of your mouth?
Do you think that's a hoax? What was actually said there?
What
Can you
was
remind me?
Hold on.
Actually,
Pause.
them stopping the recording and then not listening to the
Yeah,
rest of
he
what
said.
got
Yeah,
said.
he said fine people on both sides, but not the neo-Nazis. Correct?
So I'm going to stop this
I'd
line
like
because there's
to,
a much more, hold on, Ziz, before you go, because there's a much more relevant topic that I think is worth talking about. So Claire, the quote that you brought up, I think actually Trump recently went on to an interview and said, it was more than just, oh, I blame the left, the radical left. He also said, I don't really blame the radical right, because he said that the radical right is more concerned with stopping crime and such in the U.S. Like, he affirmatively recently went on defense of the radical right. So, I mean, like, like, we don't need to go down this whole other conversation. Like, I feel like there's a much more recent topic or recent example that y'all can talk about.
Yeah, goddamn.
The history of trying to, what's the term? Rile up people who his supporters. He has a history of doing that.
No, they'd rather talk about
January
fine people on both
6th,
sides, even though
Yeah,
One of the sides was a
actually,
neo-Nazi side. I don't know.
Okay.
yeah, can we just talk about how that's like that's a blatant support of violence? You know, it's like putting two types of violence on a scale and saying I favor this violence as the fucking president of the United States of America. Like that I feel like that position, I don't know, like that should mean something, right? Like it should mean something. It should mean
Unreasonable
something.
Man and CTV, let me ask you, because I mean, like, I could imagine, I wouldn't agree with this position, but I could imagine a reasonable defense of his statements being like, well, he said that the radical right is more focused on trying to reduce crime or trying to combat crime, and that's not the same as radical left. I don't buy that. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think, because I, like, personally, taking myself out of the moderator role, that feels pretty divisive. Like, I feel like that's not something that was ever mimicked by someone, by like Biden, for example. But what are your thoughts?
All it feels to me is just it's bait. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's going to lead to any type of like informed discussion. That's what it feels like, right? Because if there was a radical right, like white Christian nationalists trying to take over the country, fuck everybody else, they're going to load them up in the concentration camps type thing, which is what the left tries to fucking sell, right?
That's what reality tries to sell, my guy.
I mean, the Heritage
I
Foundation
don't.
Project.
No.
25.
That's literally like your interpretation, and
No,
that's
it's
the other thing
actual
too.
white hate groups. They do exist. They're not like fucking
Project
fairy tale
2025
stories.
exists.
Let's see. Hold on, everyone. Pause. CT. Sorry, if you had a thought that you wanted to finish, go ahead.
Well, everything that people take in, right, is taken in through their own filter, whatever it is, right? So if in life you happen to be in survivor mode, you're going to see things a lot different than someone that is not in that type of mode. They're in into their business, they're into their family, they're into their church. There's different modes that people have been, and then when they're taking in information, all of it goes through the filter, right? So if they were raised with a certain bias, then they're going to take it in through that bias, right? The whole idea in life is to be able to understand that there's all of these different filters and biases and things that can affect the way in which you see something. And what you have to have is a core set of principles that you always come back to. Otherwise, all you are is just a fluid being, that is just, wishy-washy with the wind, right? You never actually stand for anything. So that's the you have to have the truth. There's one reality that we all live in. It's not subject to, varying degrees of internal interpretation by individuals, right? It's hard right in front of us every single day, and we're living it. That's how the whole thing feels.
There's a lot of irony baked into you saying wishy-washy there.
Yeah, holy
can I
shit.
just throw out one statement that none of you guys are ever going to be able to rebut? In the month leading up to January 6th and on the day, Trump riled up more violence against Republicans, just Republicans, than any Democrat politician has in the last 20 years. Go.
Yeah, on the day of January
And the build-up, the month building up,
6th,
because
I
he
was
obviously sent a
very
fucking mob to
surprised
people like Rusty
that
Bauer's
things
house and
unfolded
shit.
the way that they did. I was actually
Hold on.
actually streaming when it happened.
Hold
But
on.
I was surprised that things ended up the way that it did.
Unreasonable Man, go ahead.
So, all right, if we really want to relitigate January 6th, let's point out that January 6th was considerably less violent than a protest that happened in the Capitol not long before that, where they actually did burn down a building, and yet you never want to take responsibility for it. I really get sick of this nonsense blather from leftists, and I'm assuming you are a leftist.
They can't
now.
engage with it. They just can't engage with it. It's ridiculous.
No, you can't engage.
Trump,
you never engage with
specifically
the fact that
Trump,
that
the president, not random people on Twitter, not random
Continue to talk
commentators.
over me,
Trump,
that's fine.
the president. Yes, the
Yes, when
president.
you have the weaker position, you have to do that.
Put Republicans in danger.
you
put
are
more
an idiot.
Republicans in danger than
Oh,
any
every time,
Democrat
just let him
politician has in the last
grind
10
his
years.
gears.
Hold
He'll
on,
be
all
down
right.
in a minute.
Hold on. Unreasonable Man, go ahead, and then Loner Box, you can respond.
Yeah. So when it's again, I get that he just wants to constantly do Jan 6 stuff. So here's the deal. If there was actually anything to January 6th, all of the people tried would have actually not been railroaded, and they were. The legal documents support that, and they're going through those as we speak. There's somebody that I actually know that was there that's going through litigation against the government right now, which is, and he's probably going to win. But it's really interesting that you want to keep relitigating this, but you just ignore everything. You ignore the feds. You ignore the masked people in black that just came out of nowhere all of a sudden that were armed. You ignore the video of people dropping guns. You ignore all of the facts, but you just want to key on specific talking points. And I'm sick of talking points. Just be honest, be genuine, right? Like the whole, like when Trump asked for more National Guard, more patrol people, National Guard, all of that, and it was denied. Why? Okay, sure, that's a thing, whatever. But if we really want to talk about, actual like violence, right? Well, first of all, I don't think this country has seen actual violence from the right in a few decades. You will know it when it happens because unfortunately. The right has far more violent people than the left. I will freely admit that. I know a lot of them. However, they are also the more controlled people, the more based people, and the more people that tend to live in reality and not, not whatever this is. I've engaged with your Jan 6 thing. If you want to make this a Jan 6 document, I'll pull up my
what you just said about January 6th.
I will pull up my January 6th file, and I will go through everything.
Since when was it?
My point.
No, since when was it Nancy Pelosi's responsibility to bring the National Guard? Why did Defense Secretary Christopher Miller literally testify that there was no order? Trump never officially ordered the National Guard into DC for January 6th. He didn't.
He's the only reason they were.
There's no evidence of him doing
that. He sent it this year on his second term.
Yeah, it's kind of the president who's able to do that, right? If he'd actually officially ordered it, you would have had it, but he didn't.
It wasn't just a National Guard.
It's just what you just said is a fucking lie. It's just a lie.
It's not a lie.
It is.
I have another point that I don't think
it's not.
But I have a point.
Just wait for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
In this panel,
can only listen to one person at a time.
All right, me.
Do you think if Trump's just like having is just having his breakfast and he just says, "Oh yeah, maybe we need the National Guard"? Is that a request for the National Guard? Is it like a formal request?
I don't think that's what happened. Were you there?
Into
were you
existence?
Sitting there? I don't think that's what happened.
I've listened to the testimonies. What do you mean? Were you sitting there? Like, is everything that we haven't seen with our own eyes fake? What a fucking stupid remark!
It is a stupid remark because you're listening to testimony by people who have a motivation to not be compliant.
People who were what, like his defense.
This is an interesting thing when we talk about testimony.
Unreasonable man. It's my understanding that
where's the official?
I can only listen to one person at a time.
Of the president to be able to send the National Guard, but since then, right, that process has been streamed legislatively to where the president now controls the National Guard, police, etc., a lot more closely than what they did before, and it's specifically because of that we're not going to be seeing any type of miscommunications or anything like that moving forward. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
No. Again, there's no one has given any evidence ever that Trump made an official request for the National Guard. He might have mentioned it in passing, but that's not how a request works. That's ridiculous.
His argument is that he couldn't before, and since January 6th, now we can. That is not true.
Who said that?
Me.
Yeah, that's my understanding, right? Because now there was a change to where the president now there's what was that whole thing with there's less crime in DC now because there was a change in the way fucking law enforcement's happening there. What's up with that?
There's army in the street, that's why.
Crime was at a 30-year low in DC before Trump decided to bring the army in DC.
Okay, hold on. Pause. We are now officially incredibly afield of the original topic. We're at about an hour and a half in. I want to bring us in to, maybe the final topic. I don't know. We'll feel it out. But this is kind of the the main point that I feel like we haven't touched on yet. So Charlie Kirk was assassinated, notably a very large online political figure. As far as we're aware, this is the first of this kind of an assassination to happen, specifically targeting someone for their presence online. What implications does this have for us as political content creators going forward, right? Like, what does this mean for us? What are the implications? Where do we go from here? Go ahead.
Unfortunately, unless something is done, like the political, like the message, like the flames of the political extremism are toned down, this is going to be the first of many. I think that people, especially since the pandemic, have lived much of their lives online, and as a result, are drawn to extremism a lot quicker. We need to come together as Americans. We need to go outside and talk to other people, maybe not don't agree with us, which is what we're doing here. We need to prevent some shit like this from happening again.
Need to come together as Americans and what, Brett Bonger? Hey, Leonard Box.
And Polish person.
Or like
Right,
people in
sorry.
general. You know what I mean? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I got
But
you.
yeah, people need to come together and touch grass. Go outside, touch grass. Take your dog for a walk. Go join like a running club or a recreational sports team or something. Like, go outside and talk to other people, because ever since the pandemic, political extremism has been getting way worse.
Additional addendum to the question I just asked, is that super likely? Because sure, yeah, I also would like if we all got together and sung Kumbaya and were super duper happy all the time. That would be great. We would be in a fantastic society. But like, you know, that's kind of the reason I wanted to have this panel, is because it feels like there's a lot of political division and it doesn't seem like it's slowing down in the near future.
Again, since the pandemic, sorry, Archie, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're all good. Yeah, go ahead.
Ever since the pandemic, like third spaces, like hangout areas, a lot of them have been disappearing or like been closed down across the country. That's a problem, especially since that, like, you know, like clubs, bars, like that sort of those sort of environments, like community centers, a lot of them have been closing down due to a lack of investment into like community centers and stuff like that. We need to have like a third space. I know other countries still have like their third spaces active. We have like a third space rather than just work and home, where people can like get together, talk together. That's how we solve the political division in the country, not by sitting around on Twitter all fucking day.
CTV, the Unreasonable Man, I'm interested in your thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, I think that certainly there's more what I would consider radicalized people out there. And it's an interest. I mean, and I see this across a bunch of different venues, forums, and groups that I'm a part of in some way or the other. You know, you have young men believing that they can't date. You have young women thinking that they'll get rich on OnlyFans. You've got a bunch of different people out there telling people all sorts of things, and they get into these clusters where, and they live a lot of their lives online. So once they're in that group, they don't really get a lot of other information, and so it's when you have that, that's a mind control technique, and it's very effective, and people can become radicalized very quickly without even knowing it, to be honest with you. And I see it happening more and more. I try, you know, in my own program, I try and talk people into, you know, being more in touch with reality and not getting caught up and trying to figure out like specific minutia and getting fixated on things because, you know, most often it just leads you down a rabbit hole that burns you out. Getting outside, touching grass, sure. Obviously, I think that's a great thing. I think that everybody ought to be a lot more involved in their communities, whatever those communities may be. I'm old, so, you know, I have maybe a different point of view, and I do a lot of different things and have a lot of varied interest. So for me, I don't see this in my own life without having to go look for it. You know, I don't see people becoming radicalized unless I actually go outside of my sphere to look for it. But it is happening, and I think it's happening far easier than it ever has before, because people can live their entire lives online in an echo chamber, and it's evil. It's just evil.
CTV or Loner Box, either of you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's we're going to have to get to a situation where people start to understand that their online life is not reality, right? And once they start to understand that, then they'll start to figure out some semblance of truth. There's a lot of that happening now, and has, I would say, for the last 6 months to a year. A lot more people are waking up to to a lot of the truths in the world. So the more that happens, the more the temperature will come down naturally. And unfortunately, we're all stuck in a situation having to deal with somebody that made a terrible decision and took a great man out of the world simply because of what he believed. Most people are sad about it. I mean, and the ones that feel like something else needs to happen, I'm sure, if they cared about Charlie at all, they'd be listening to what he would say, and what he would say is, not to be committing violence on his behalf. So we're all just kind of left with the rest of that.
Okay, Lucy, do you have your hand up? You can go ahead if you want.
Yes. Well, there's a couple of things here. One is that I feel like the topic became a little bit confused because we are conflating different types of violence, a specific type which is political assassination, rioting, protesting, and January 6th, which is its own separate topic, in my opinion. If we are to just talk about political violence as a whole, as this big umbrella category, then I would probably have a little bit of a different stance, because I am, for one, not categorically against all types of political violence. I come from Poland, and historically, my country has been a part of the Eastern Bloc, and there has been this well-known movement called the Solidarity Movement, and this movement has not always been peaceful. It has clashed with the old regime that has fallen in 1989, and that was a type of political violence, and I cannot say that I am categorically against it, as I am against political assassination as a solution to political division. And in my opinion, there is no solving political division. We will always have political division. The question isn't how do we solve division. The question is how do we resolve those contradictions in beliefs and in policy prescriptions. It's not, you cannot heal division. You will always have it. The question is how you address it. And my answer is you do not address it through political assassination of people of different political affiliation than your own.
You're muted, RGR. You're muted.
Yep, sorry. Ziz, I see that you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, my prescription is going to be pretty much a little bit of a mix of everything. My most centrist take of the night. I really think that Trump needs to be taken out of office. I don't think Republicans can be trusted in power, especially right now with him at the top. I think people need repercussions on the left. I think people should get fired. And I think people on the right should get fired in a position of power as well. I think we need something to be enforced, either laws or whatever. I don't think hate speech laws are the thing to do, but I think we should be enforcing policies to say what the line is and where to stop on both sides.
Yeah, it sounds like things are winding down. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go into closings now. You can talk about whatever you want to, and also shout yourself out. We'll go around one time, and everyone can be able to give their final thoughts on whatever you want to from the evening, and then shout out your platforms. Sound good? Cool.
Yeah.
Ziz, we'll start with you. If you want to add on anything, or if you want to shout yourself out, go for it.
That was pretty much my closing statement. I think it's a tragedy that Charlie Kirk got killed for for expressing his free speech, and people are saying that he got killed because he was stepping on everybody's other free speech, which is kind of weird. But yeah, Ripka, Charlie Kirk, and yeah, get Joe Biden back in the presidency. Cure his cancer, get him back. That's what I want.
Well, cool. Lucy, you already also kind of gave a closing statement. If you want, you can add anything, and if you want to, otherwise, you can shut yourself up.
Yes, I'm Lucy Haza. I already said I'm the biggest Polish trans political creator. And I guess you can find me on my YouTube, Lucy Haza, Twitch, Lucy Haza. And yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Claire, do you want to go ahead? You can give closing, and then if you want to shut yourself out, go for it.
Sure. Yeah. I don't have anything to shout out. Don't find me. Don't look for me. I don't want to talk to you. I would. I just want to echo what Governor Cox said after Charlie Kirk was killed, which is that social media has played a direct role in every single assassination attempt that we've seen over the last 5-6 years. Cancer probably isn't a strong enough word. And I just want to follow that up by saying that the one person who has the most power and has been the most actively cancerous and divisive and angry is the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who continues to stoke these conflicts. And no matter how hard the Democrats try, he's just going to keep pushing until he finally strokes the rest of the way out. So I don't know. I don't live on the internet. You guys were, this is fun. I thought my brain would explode. Love you.
Me too. Thank you so much. Vince, go ahead if you want to.
I don't have much to add. I only have one question to Unreasonable Man, but before that, I'm gonna shout out my socials against it, Real Visigoth on everywhere. And my question to Unreasonable Man is the one that I initially asked in the beginning of the panel. Do you think that when Trump on January 6th said that we should abolish the Constitution, do you, as a constitutionalist yourself, do you denounce that?
I'm not aware that he's actually said that.
Did he not?
Can you?
No, he
show me?
did. It's just this is the typical MAGA response. It's always, oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
I
about that
don't-
one. Yeah.
Are you sure? Can you show
Actually,
me?
I have a question if I can ask it.
Uh,
Is it okay if I ask a question after the thing?
More
sh-
debate.
sure, go ahead, real quick.
Okay. About constitutionalism, because if it's not in the Constitution, then you say that it should be thrown out, yeah?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
what
if
you
it's
said?
not in the Constitution, we shouldn't be doing it, or we should consider it
the
very
US,
carefully.
The US, as I understand it, has codified law, and
Think of a
that
narcissist
codified law
that
is
you got to
not in
be
the
asking
Constitution.
another
Does that
panelist
imply
questions
we should
very
throw it?
closely. I don't
One
get it.
at a
can't
fucking
hear.
time. I'm trying to listen to this person. Just calm down.
If it's like a brief question, I'm gonna let it go. CTV.
Yeah, it's a brief
yeah.
question. If it's
No,
I guess I
all right,
understand
I
it,
can
like-
explain this really quickly, right? So the Constitution
all right.
expresses or established laws to govern the entire country, which were limited in scope. State laws were to reign supreme. This is the way it's supposed to work. However, we kind of got away from that over the years. That's and that's not the way it works anymore. As a matter of fact, oftentimes federal and state laws exactly oppose each other. Currently, right now, the best illustration is the pot laws, right? Legal in a lot of states, illegal federally. So this is a problem that we have, and this is why the Constitution should be reduced back down to where it was, and not. And we ought to be much more interested in making state laws stronger and more the law of the land than federal law. But I mean, and I'm happy to teach a civics lessons at some point. I'm horrible at it, but I can try. But that's not really what I came here to do.
Okay, thank you. And then on that note, the Unreasonable Man, if you want to make your closing statements and then
Sure.
shut yourself out, you can do so now. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I am an unreasonable man. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, X, all over the place. I don't actually interact much on X, to be honest. I just whatever. But I do a show 5 times a week, 2 daytime shows, 3 nighttime shows, and I'm on panels a lot. So you can find me pretty easily.
Cool. Thank you. Next, Get Money Dre.
Hello, everybody. Get Money Dre. I host No Echo Chambers on YouTube. That's at No Echo Chambers on YouTube. No Echo YT on X. Also, No Echo Chambers on Twitch. And I also wanted to. My show No Echo Chambers. I want to help bridge the political divide. I want to talk to leftists, rightists, anybody in between who's going to have a civil discussion. I also want to bring one more point, is that I said something at the beginning of the panel that I cited a study by the ADL. 76% of political violence, political related murders in the past decade have been done by right wingers. I'm not saying all right wingers are murderers. Most aren't, right? Especially like I'm a centrist. On the left, people say that all right wingers are this and that. I don't think it's true, and I want to help bridge the divide. Who's the gentleman? Unreasonable Man. I like your setup back there.
Oh, thank you. I just changed it the other day. It was different, but I changed my set a lot. So
yeah, I like that setup.
That's my competition rifle, and above it is a 308 AR-10. I'm a competitive shooter.
Oh, really?
Cool.
I've been meaning to get into that. So,
all right. Yeah. Next. Oh, go ahead.
I was still going. I'll be done quickly. I want to thank RGR for having me on the panel tonight. Thank y'all for Loner Bucks, and I don't know the rest of you guys. I'm sorry, but and Vince as well. Political violence has no place in this country. Like, assassinations of podcasters have no. Like, if there's like an evil, like, Hitlerish dictator in America, which there's not. Trump is not Hitler's level. I want to say that very clearly. If there's like an actual dictator in the country, then I would support that. But Trump is, as of now, hopefully continues to not be a dictator. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Next, CTV, closing statements, and then shout yourself out if you so want to. You can do whatever you want. Not whatever.
All right. Woo. Woo. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay. So we're going to close this out with RGR. Thanks for hosting the panel. You had to endure some stuff on the closeouts there. It's like, woo, clearly fun. Not. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, right? So I am critically thinking veteran. I am looking forward to hosting conversations with individual conversations. The panel thing is a little bit different. That's where you got to get a little bit louder. But individual conversations with folks. So anybody that's interested, reach out in Discord. We're going to be getting to that again. So as always, I want everybody to remember that you're not alone in this world, that there are good people around you that are dependent on you to a degree to take care of yourself. So do that and help everyone out.
Amen.
Thank you, CTV. And then lastly, Loner Box, you got the last word. You can make whatever kind of closing you want to and shut yourself out. You got the floor.
Yeah, it's really shit that Charlie Kirk got killed. I don't think that's the right way to resolve political issues in a country that is still, touch wood, a democracy. We don't know for how long. At the end of the day, though, this kind of stuff is going to keep on happening, and there is a definite need to turn down the temperature. The problem is that the person who most urgently could be called to turn down the temperature on his own side is the president of the United States, and he is not going to do it. He has never shown any desire to do it, whether or not it was pipe bombs being sent to Obama, Clinton, and Biden, whether it was an attempted kidnapping of Gretchen Whitmer, whether it was the attack on the Pelosi's, whether it was the shootings at the homes of 4 Democrat officials in New Mexico, or the attempted assassination of Josh Shapiro, or the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband. You will never see Trump saying that his own side needs to calm down. He will threaten Republicans more than any Democrat does. When he had Rusty Bowers, who was a Trump loyalist all the way through the first term, all the way up until he said there was no proof of electoral fraud in Arizona, then Trump called him a traitor on Twitter, and then 9 times afterwards, on separate occasions, he has people turning up to his house with guns, calling him a pedophile, and giving his daughter nightmares and making them have to move house. Or you have Trump and Giuliani picking out 2 random fucking electoral workers, accusing them of handing out USBs and crack cocaine, and then to the point that they had to sue Giuliani for defamation for over $150 million. They also had their lives uprooted and had to move house because of the targets that were put on their backs. They will never take accountability for this. Trump, the reason he has a different vice president right now is because his last one had a bunch of Trump loyalists and Trump supporters in January 6th in the Capitol calling to hang him. When Trump was informed of this by Kevin McCarthy, he said, well, Kevin, I guess these people are more upset about the election than you are. I'm a big believer in conservative values. I like personal responsibility. But, you know, it's quite telling that I challenge the MAGA people or the conservatives on this panel to come up with any example of Democrats doing something like this in the last 10 years. The one example I got was Maxine Waters, whose worst offense was telling people to break a curfew with a nonviolent protest, to protest past curfew over the Derek Chauvin trial.
Or the
there's
burning
no
of federal
accountability.
buildings,
There's
etc.
no-
Don't
which Maxine
try to
Waters
lie
did
at the
not-
end.
which Maxine
CTV,
Waters was
hold
not
on.
behind, which every Democratic politician condemned. Sorry, I don't know. Just, you're going to keep getting this, and MAGA are getting this because they want it. This is the world they asked for. Rip.
I disagree with the end, but true and real.
All right, and with that, thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate you all being here. We will host more panels in the future. I hope that you all, I hope that people don't walk away with too negative feelings. And thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Check out Riley Grace Rochong, viewers, if you want to, or check out RileyGraceRochong.com if you want to support the stream and what I'm doing here. And have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. Bye.
All right. Crazy. Make sure I hung up everywhere. Well, what do you know, folks? What do you know? All right, everybody. What'd you think? That was pretty interesting. Yeah, so this is pretty interesting stuff, right? Guys entertained. All right. Okay, so where am I at here? You know, time is it? I'm gonna go cook a big old steak. Riley something. I can't think of all 3 of the letter names, but it's RGR was the host. You just woke up from a nap. Well, you got a rude awakening. Yeah, well, it's too easy. It's too easy to talk about these points because, you know, the reality is that here we go.
Mr. Boulay and the Department of Numismatics donated $10 super chat. It's time for the left to offer the olive branch first and clean up their house first as an act of good faith versus tone policing the right all the time.
Damn straight. It was interesting because it really became a battle of tone policing, right? And this was not even a challenge, to be honest with you. Most of the people I go up against normally are much better debaters. The whole Jan 6 thing, I didn't even have notes. No, Goshawk or something like that. RGR, Rodsgoth or anyway, it's give me a second. Yeah, that's it. Riley Grace Roshon. Yeah, so it was a very interesting debate because, or it's not a debate, discussion panel, because that one guy, man, he just has like these little sticking points, and it's like has nothing to do with any of the topic we're talking about. And it just, you know, so it devolves. It always devolves into this, right? It always devolves into this idea that, you know, well, the right's done bad stuff, so they can't talk about bad stuff. And I'm like, yeah, what does it matter, right? Like, I mean, and I told him several times if he wanted to relitigate, the January 6th argument, I was glad to do so. But he had notes, and I'm literally just remembering stuff off my head. They can't prove, by the way. First of all, they lie. I don't like it because the left lies, and they lie a lot. So first of all, Bill Barr actually rejected Trump's request for additional National Guard troops. The troops were already en route. They were already halfway there. I believe that they ended up camped outside of Washington, D.C. on the in Virginia, I believe. Maybe at Quantico or something like that. Not, I mean, I say camped. I mean, they just went to Quantico, I think, or somewhere like that was close to the White House, but wasn't the White House. They were already en route. Bill Barr said, no, we don't need it. We got it. Capitol Police, Secret Service, we got all of it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Bill Barr's when it did that. That Canadian was fucking wrong because he's been over on Destiny's DGG server, and they think that you know, that they can sit there and spew some shit off about some testimony in court that doesn't matter, is totally irrelevant, because who cares? The guy say whatever it is in court. You know, January 6th was political violence, Joe Kasnaw, but it was political violence by the left by turning what was a peaceful protest into a very violent, to my feeling, although a lot of people have said that it's probably not violent. All the film that I see is the Jan 6ers themselves were nonviolent. However, there were bad actors there. There were bad actors that were mostly federal plants or officers, and there were there was another group there that was not part of the Jan 6 protesters. And yeah, it seems, but you're wrong. So you got to do some research, man. Got to do some research. You got to talk to some people. You got to learn some things, right? Like look, if anybody that whose knowledge of Jan 6 stops in 2020 can't talk to me about it. You can't talk to me about it because there's been so much that has been changed since then. We know so much more. For example, we know because it's come out in court documents that the feds literally deprived people of due process and they got away with it. We know that for a fact. If Tim was here, he could tell you about it. But there were feds implanted in every organization. The thing that's annoying is that this guy will sit there and say, well, you know, the Proud Boys were the first ones through. They broke down the thing. Yeah, it wasn't a Proud Boy that broke the window, grate, whatever the fuck it was. It was a Fed. It was a federal officer who broke it down and then said, come with me, guys. So if your knowledge of Jan 6 stops in 2020, 2021, I don't even want to fucking talk to you because you're stupid and you don't know anything. Okay. And I just don't want to hear it. And I was, you know, I kept telling that guy, if we want to get into it, we can get into it, but you don't absolutely get to it. Joe Kasnaw, absolutely not. Most of those people were innocent. They are prosecuting the actual Jan 6 criminals. I don't know if you know that, but somebody, Mr. will probably know off the top of his head. But I think it's something like 70 federal officers and agents are being prosecuted for their actions in inciting and propagating the Jan 6 debacle. So, I mean, you know, whatever you want to believe, go right on ahead. But, you know, all of this is being reversed, you know, like the truth is coming out. If you don't like the truth, I'm sorry, but it is the truth. What riot? Where was the riot, Joe? They walked, bro. They weren't yelling at people. They weren't beating people. I've seen the video. I've seen the video of them walking peacefully in through the Senate. Which, by the way, there was nobody there. There's nobody there. I know. I get sucked into it because people are such fucking liars, man. Liars, dirty liars. And they don't actually know anything. As far as the Charlie Kirk thing, look, I toned it down a lot because I really want to be asked back and all that. Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Schust. That is absolutely correct. The House committee over the investigation disallowed all exculpatory evidence. They were basically political prisoners. Now they've done the right thing. So if you don't believe that, go please educate yourself. Come back and we'll have a conversation. If you don't want to, that's fine. We don't have to have a conversation. I don't care. If your knowledge of Jan 6 ends in 2020, 2021, you need to shut the fuck up and not talk to me. But as far as this last panel, as far as everything else went, guys, look, man, they're scared. That's what it is. They're scared. They're scared. The left have poked the bear one too many times. They're afraid of getting bit. They don't like this rhetoric from the right. They don't like it because it means that people are paying attention first and foremost. Like forget violence or anything like that. It just means that people are paying attention. People like you, people like me, are paying attention to what's going on in our world. It means that we're not falling for the lies anymore that Jan 6 was a riot. We're not falling for the lies that, you know, that there was a Israeli jet or whatever bullshit, you know, in Utah, you know, like that's what really scares the left. The problem with the left is they don't like the truth. They like their version of the truth, which is usually exceedingly concocted. I'm telling you, the left is very, very scared, right? The United States is not the world, but I'm in the United States and I only care about the United States. I'm an isolationist. I don't give a fuck about the rest of the world. If it were up to me, if I ruled America, we would literally withdraw from fucking everywhere. I shit you not. If it were up to me, if I were in the big chair, I would shut down every military base in the world that belonged to the United States of America. After shutting it down, I'd have sappers blow that shit into smithereens. We'd keep aircraft carriers here and there just so we could fly our planes around. But we don't need no stinking air bases. We can bomb everybody. We can bomb every inch of the world from the comfort of our home. There's nothing anybody in the world can do about it. Furthermore, we don't need their trade. We've got a healthy workforce. We have the ability to manufacture every single item we could possibly need. Now, sure, we could import some things, but why not make America not great again? Why not make America the best as it was? At one point in time in this world, we were isolationist. You know, right now, the entire world rests under the blanket of security that American soldiers and American equipment provide. And that's wrong. That's fucking wrong. We need to be isolationist. The problem is that for so long, our government starting post World War II has had a real responsibility, a real drive, if you will, to push this agenda that there's a boogeyman out there coming for America. Arthur Dye, I don't care. Too long has America played the peacemaker and artificially propped up other countries while destroying others and allowing others to be destroyed. We need to get the fuck out. I really don't give a shit. I don't care. Okay? Let them sort it out. Why is it our responsibility if China takes over Taiwan? Why do I care? How about we take care of our own people? How about instead of spending billions of dollars floating boats all over the world to provide security for shipping for every other country, why don't we just take care of our boats? Or for that matter, we don't even need boats anymore. Just take planes and make shit here. Correct. Hawaiian CC is absolutely right. The other countries need us. They can't get by without us. And yet they call us bullies. They ask for concessions from us. We give them money. We give them money, oftentimes more money than we give our own people. We don't rely on Taiwan for jack shit. We could all make it all here, even chips, everything. I don't care. That's a bad argument. There's no point in it, right? And worse is I don't think China will invade Taiwan. I don't care if they do. I just don't care. Look, here's the thing. And I thought about this a lot. I put a lot of thought into this. The entire world villainizes Americans, calls us bullies, calls us, all kinds of shitty names. Why do we help them? It doesn't help us. We're not being helped. Our debt increases trillions of dollars because we help other countries. It would help our economy to not give every other country a shit ton of money. That's all. I just don't. I don't believe that. I don't care about. Why do I care if China takes over Japan? We owned it, Japan, and we gave it back to them. They already lost one war. If they can't win a war, then who cares? Fuck them. Why are we the world police? Why is that? Why is it that we have to be the ones to protect everyone? Yet I believe doesn't Japan have nukes currently? But I don't care about nukes. What nuclear weapons are irrelevant right now. Yeah, we promised a bunch of military support, but that was in also with the idea of having concessions, of them selling us things at a better rate for our country so that it benefited us. This doesn't benefit us. This is a net negative for us. I'm okay with all of that, Catherine. Because I don't drink. I don't drink. It's not in our interest currently. It is not. You think it is, but it is not. We spend our taxpayer dollars propping up other countries. It does not benefit us. It doesn't. it is a net negative for us. Which is why I'm perfectly okay leaving Ukraine alone. Angel Berber is on fire. If we're going to be an empire, we need to act like one, meaning treat these places as provinces and install governors like the British did. They knew what they were doing. Then they pay us for protection, not get it free. Fuck yes, rock on America. Right, absolutely. Would I really want to take on the debate of Canada? What debate of Canada? I don't understand that. J Beans, the OG. I'm not. I think Catherine is drunk. I'm not really sure she's making sense. BlackRock wants. Stop with BlackRock. BlackRock is a holding company. They don't want anything. They're not a government entity. They're not a PMO. They're not or a NGO. They're nothing. Yeah, why would we want Canada, to be honest? I mean, I guess we could do something with it. Yeah, I think Angel Berber is correct. You guys who want us to be the world police need to understand the reality of being a global empire and what it really means. And we're protected. We're actually not a global empire. What we are is we're the stupid, big, broad-shouldered security guard that you pay $10 an hour to protect $1 million worth of goods, right? Because he's too stupid to know any better. And that's what the US is. We're too stupid and too proud and too scared. Well, what if China attacks? What? China attack us? Are you fucking insane? They're not going to attack us. Not ever. Ever. That's not how the Chinese, first of all, it's not how the Chinese think. And second, it's not in their interest at all. Russia attack us? Whatever. I've been listening to that for decades, and it's just not in their interest nor ours for them to attack us. Mainly because there's nothing they can put up that we can't knock down. The entire idea of them being even technologically equal to us was insane. Anyway, I digress from the subject of the original debate tonight, or not debate, but discussion tonight. It was, I don't know. Those guys, they weren't ready. They weren't ready. They had to pull it back to Jan 6. Oh, Catherine, you poor child. Bless your heart. You just don't understand you do not understand global geoeconomics, because that's not how it works, baby. You pull $35 trillion a year out of the global economy and stick it back in the U.S. The U.S. becomes the best country on the planet, and every other country has serious fucking problems. Serious fucking problems. Every other country in the world is going to be trying to figure out how to pay its own military. Every other country in the world is going to start trying to figure out how to sort out their own shipping protection. Every other country in the world is going to be trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet without the little bonus check at the end of the year they get from the U.S. So, fuck them. Fuck them. Yeah. Fuck the petrodollar. We need to get rid of the petrodollar. Petrodollar is the worst idea ever. Yeah, there's a massive distinction between using proxy wars and actually putting your own label and ownership of a place officially. Yes. And this is a problem. We've been fighting in the Middle East for 70 years. Trillions upon trillions of dollars of material, money, thousands upon thousands of lives, American young men, thousands of Americans dead, deceased in a war over what? The fucking sandbox? Fuck those guys. They can all, I mean, honestly, why do we even care? How does it affect us? It might kick up the price of a barrel of oil a couple of dollars. Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you something there, Hot Rod. I don't really give a shit. Just don't care. Because at the end of the day, we put $35 trillion in our country, we gain. We keep putting $35 trillion a year overseas, we lose. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of exporting Americans to die. Tired of all of it. Get us out of the Middle East. Get us out of Korea. Get us out of everywhere. Pull all American troops back. Now we got a nice workforce out there, baby. Heck yeah. Get some shit done, brother. Need a house built? Got some hardworking young men just back from the desert. You guys think I'm joking. I'm not joking. This is a serious shit. We cannot sustain the current level of warfare that we keep trying for. Correct. Angel Bird was correct. To die for something we never conquered or owned, and something we don't even believe in. Catherine, you are insane. You do not understand how economics work. You obviously are dumb as a fucking rock. I know that you've been here a lot, and you come in and you say some really random shit, but you're just not very smart, and you just keep saying things that don't mean anything. Here's something that means something. We don't need the rest of the world, Catherine. We don't. We can make everything that's made anywhere in the world right here in the good old US of A. We don't need you fuckers, but you need us. You need our protection. You need our planes. You need our ships. You need our guns. You need our American troops. You need the oil, which we secure. You need the pipelines, which our people built. You don't have any idea about the reality of the situation. No, you're just, Catherine, you're just delusional. I'm sorry. Yeah, imagine all the Army Corps of Engineer guys out here building new dams, fixing the fucking roads, building a wall. Think of all the great things that could be done here in America with the money that we're spending overseas. Just think of it. Joseph, the thing is, man, is that we're exceedingly fiscally irresponsible in the United States. And it's bad enough that we waste money here in the United States. But when we're wasting money overseas, right? When we're giving our American taxpayer dollars, money that I assume you're an American, money that you pay into the system, money that I pay into the system, Mr. Boulay pays money into that system. Mr. pays more money than he wants to in that system. When everybody has to pay in for a war on another shore for fucking nothing, there's nothing there. There's nothing there that benefits us. Oh, oil. We have plenty of oil here, pal. Got plenty of oil. We do. More interesting would be the global dynamics of if we did not, if we killed the petrodollar, what would happen really to the UAE and OPEC? Because their biggest customers right now are Russia and China. And they're already trying to get rid of the petrodollar. Imagine for a minute if we exited and we just destroyed the petrodollar. Imagine what would happen. You know what would happen? The price of oil worldwide would drop through the fucking floor. Yeah, there's not a zero-sum game. Wealth is not a zero-sum game. Anyway, this was an interesting discussion after the other interesting discussion that I had on the panel. That panel was mine. I own that panel. That was I took on all comers, and they absolutely did not have anything for me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am actually going to go cook a steak. I promised my wife I would make dinner tonight, and I'm going to go grill a steak up. And you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm going to probably, give me a second. I'm going to raid you over somewhere. Give me one quick second. Please bear with me. Please stand by while your stewardess come by with the drink menu. Remember, folks, we've got a lot going on tonight, and it has been fun, and we are going to have better and more and cooler stuff going on as time goes by. You heard it here first. We've got it going on. I think this is the second time I've actually two of them crashed out. What crashed out? Who crashed out? I did own that panel, though. That was fucking hilarious. So tie the dollar to Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. That's a terrible idea. Glenn is still live, so you guys are going to go over to Glenn. I may pop in, I may not. You never know. I don't normally stream on Sundays, but this was a good opportunity to go stomp some liberals, and I felt like I needed it. So you guys have a great rest of your evening, and go enjoy Glenn's. As always, be cool. Wear glasses if you need them because they're important, and go hang